Peace to everybody. This is about a Walmart employee helped about 150 people escape from the El Paso shooting. And of course, here's the man that allegedly helped 150 people escape from the shooting. Gilbert Cerna had worked at the El Paso Walmart for nearly half his life before the day it would change forever. And so he has worked at Walmart for nearly half of his life before that day had changed. The 37-year-old father of two was in the middle of his shift on Saturday when a gunman opened fire in the store, killing 22 people. So the father is 37 years old. He has two kids. He was in the middle of his shift on Saturday when a gunman opened fire in the store and, of course, killing 22 people. I heard on my two-way radio, "Code Brown, run quick," in a panicked voice. Cerna told BuzzFeed News of the moment the shooting began. So he heard this on his two-way radio, and of course there was a "Code Brown," and that means run quick in a panicked voice. Cerna told BuzzFeed News of the moment the shooting began. In the frenzy of the moment, he didn't remember what that meant. He checked the back of his badge, which lists the codes. Alright, so if you don't know the codes, you gotta check the back of your badge, and it should have a list of codes there. He didn't remember what that meant, so he had to check the back of his badge to see the list of codes on there. I was like, oh yeah, that's a shooting, and then heard the pop, 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 he said. Yeah, so he said, yeah, so after he had allegedly looked at the codes on the back of his badge, he said, oh yeah, that's a shooting. So now he knows what it meant. That's when he jumped into action and may have saved more than 100 people thanks to his quick thinking. Cerna led dozens of customers and employees through a fire exit and told them to get inside 4 shipping containers. He then closed the doors, hiding them safely inside. Alright, so he had saved more than 100 people thanks to his quick thinking. Cerna led dozens of customers and employees to a fire exit, of course, and then told them to get inside 4 shipping containers. And so this way he closed the doors and hiding them safely inside. They were scared. I was scared. We were all scared, he said. So everybody was scared to death after what happened. But Cerna didn't stop there. Rather than get inside one of the containers, he then walked along the side of the building toward the parking lot, where a number of people, including a girls' soccer team who'd been outside fundraising, were standing out in the open. So the girls were out. The girls' soccer team was outside fundraising. I don't know what for, but they were. Cerna didn't stop there. Instead of him getting inside one of the 4 containers, he had went outside the building towards the parking lot, where there was a number of people all around, because people were scattered everywhere, and who knows where they all ended up at. At that point, a man in the parking lot yelled that there was a tall white man in there with an AK-47 shooting up the place. So now you got somebody yelling, saying there was a tall man in there with an AK-47 shooting up the place. And of course, this is allegedly. Only then did it dawn on Cerna what was happening. That's when it registered with me that this was a mass shooting, Cerna said. It's not a one-on-one confrontation. It's not somebody fighting over a parking spot, or I bumped into you, or something. This is going to be a mass shooting, a massacre. Alright, so he didn't think of it at first. He thought it was a one-on-one confrontation, and it wasn't. He said it wasn't about anybody fighting over a parking spot or I bumped into you or something. So he knew that it was a mass shooting, a massacre, allegedly. Cerna led about 50 to 60 people in the parking lot to safety in a nearby Sam's Club, he said. So yeah, he had helped about 50 to 60 more people that were in the parking lot to a nearby Sam's Club. That's when I noticed people with gunshot wounds to their legs, arms, thighs, some graze wounds, he said. That's when it really hit me. Like, oh man, this guy's out to kill people. Yeah, so at first he didn't think about it. Then he noticed people with gunshot wounds to their legs, their arms, their thighs, and some grazed wounds. So that's what he noticed about it. And then he said that's when it really hit me. So I guess he's probably at the point where he's forgetting what is what, and then of course then he'll remember what's going on. Rushing by him, Cerna saw someone carrying a baby who was covered in blood. So now you got a baby that's covered in blood. Now, whose blood? I don't know. It could be the mother's or it could be somebody else's. I don't know. I can't get that image out of my head, he said. Federal prosecutors are investigating it as a hate crime and an act of domestic terrorism. A white supremacist manifesto, which contained anti-immigrant rhetoric and praise for the Christchurch, New Zealand shooter, is believed to have been written by the gunman. So federal prosecutors are investigating it and they're treating it as a hate crime and act of domestic terrorism, allegedly. Of a white supremacist manifesto, of course, you know, people are the hate people and oh jeez. And of course, you know, the New Zealand shooter is being believed to have been written by the gunman, of course. After such tragedy in his community, Cerna worries that similar acts of hatred and domestic terrorism could happen in other border towns. So there's other border towns that he is worried about because, you know, when you got Paso, Texas, at the border with whatever other cities that are around there, it'll happen again in our country because it's not going to stop until we do something about it, he said. Donald Trump has inspired a lot of racism. Wait a minute, how can Donald Trump inspire a lot of racism? Really? Come on, stop blaming Donald Trump for this. Don't blame him for this mess. This has nothing to do with Donald Trump. And of course, Cerna said it will happen again in our country. Of course it will, because you know that there's going to be a 2020 presidential election soon. And they want to take your guns away from you. That's what they want to do. They don't want you to defend yourself or nothing. So they say, oh, good, we're going to take their guns so they can't defend themselves. So that's what this is about, the presidential thing that's going to be happening in 2020. And of course, you know, people are just not going to put up with it too much longer, but with all these alleged mass shootings, yeah, and this is why they want all these guns taken away, because they think, oh, gun control is the best way. So that's why they say, oh yeah, come on, give me your guns. That's what they're up to. That's what these presidentials are up to. Leave your comments below. I am out.